Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream / recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, May 29th, Memorial Day, and things are not really going that fast because of that. Not a lot of news. I went through all of it in 30 minutes. I need to play 50 warrior cards, so let's hop into that. Which warrior deck do I have? Probably this one, if I was to guess. This is my best deck. And so, if anybody is on, I'm looking at the chat for the first 30 minutes and nobody has commented, so get on that chat, ask me questions, let's try to talk about some different things. The only thing I can talk about left here so far, and I don't know how I'm supposed to stretch this out into 30 minutes of conversation, is what I've been doing in between the last stream and this 3 days ago. I finished Borderlands, and it was kind of a out with a whimper situation with Borderlands 1. The thing is, the game is great. Playing Borderlands 1 and its 4 pieces of DLC. All of it's great except for Mad Moxie's Underdome, which really sucks unless you have 4 players. In general, playing several parts of that game by yourself is not amazingly fun. But putting that all aside for a moment, it's totally worth doing once or twice or 3 or 4 times in your life. But I feel like I'm approaching the 5th time that I played it, and there was definitely some quests in the last 2 bits of DLC. So the Secret Armory of General Knox and the the Claptrap's new Robo Revolution. Each one of those those 2 DLCs had collectible quests where you just had to do a lot of extra work, and by the end I was like, yeah, forget it. Let's just forget it. And certainly now I kind of need to regain my stamina for playing Borderlands, because in the next 6 months I would like to play Borderlands 2 all the way through. And if I am going to do that, then I need to specifically be able and willing to have not only enough time to air all of that, but also enough energy to play all of that.
Magic detected.
And hopefully Borderlands 3 doesn't come out before then, but if it does, I guess so be it. Might be the next thing to say.
I don't have enough mana.
So yeah, Borderlands. Great game, totally worth playing. Kind of hard to play by yourself. It has some major problems in the fact that you can't ever respec and play as the other characters. So if you wanted to play as each character class, you would end up spending a ridiculous number of hours, probably 400 to 500. Somewhere between 400 and 500 hours, just trying to. I don't want to attack that one. Just trying to get everything, all 4 characters up to max level. And I know in Borderlands 2 there's at least 5 other characters that you can play as, so that becomes crazy too, having to play the game all the way. Again, I think you'd be very justified to cheat, and even in cheating you're not going to have the greatest experience. before we do this, let's go ahead and play this. Take that victory. So that was Borderlands, and then after finishing Borderlands, I got into an odd little rut where I decided I was kind of looking and thinking about what I wanted to play next. I know I need to play BioShock Infinite's DLC next, but I wanted to do something in between, and so I was thinking about what I could do, looking through all my stuff. I probably need to do a bunch of paperwork still and schedule videos. I'm always behind on that, but so eventually I decided I wanted to play Loom. Since I did the remaster of The Secret of Monkey Island, it would only make sense that to play Loom and since Loom came right before The Secret of Monkey Island, and it's a decent reference. It's referenced in The Secret of Monkey Island, and I figured Loom is a pretty different game too, since it's this weird music-based thing. Oddly, in playing it, I realized that it actually is a very early successor to the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I hadn't really gotten that before, but that is certainly how I see it. But then as I start doing the research, turns out that the version you can buy on Steam that I owned is not really a good version at all, because it's heavily changed in the dialogue and to make it capable of working on a CD-ROM and having voice acting and all the lines spoken out. They rewrote all the lines to be shorter, so tons of dialogue, tons of characterization. They also took out a ton of all of the up-close facial shots when characters were talking, simply because they couldn't get the lips to sync up to the spoken text, which is a ridiculous thing to do. But the CD-ROM talkie version you get on Steam for Loom also is 256 colors, so it's kind of the best looking version, except for the fact that it's censored in a few places for blood, and it doesn't have the up-close pictures on the of the people, so even if it looks better for the colors, it's still not the right version to play. Ideally, you would want to play the FM Towns version if you're looking for visuals. So to get the FM Towns version, there's a thing on the discussions where you can on the Steam discussions where you can download a copy of that. But when you play the FM Towns version, which FM Towns was a Japanese PC style PC that a lot of point-and-click adventure game makers dealt with, that is 256 colors with the up-close Facebook. And this game, by the way, is incredibly old, because the original version was in EGA graphics with 16 colors, and boy is it odd to play a game that only has 16 colors in 2017, but that's what I ended up doing. The game only takes about it only takes about 3 hours to beat, and so I did it two different versions, the talkie CD-ROM version and then the EGA version, the original version. And the EGA version is so much better on the story. However, for a game that's based on music, there's still, in both versions I played, a lot of points where music just cuts out and there's silence, which seems very odd. But it's way worse on the talkie CD-ROM version, where there's entire other parts of the music are missing. It was a very weird comparison of a game that was released in 1990, 1991, and 1992 in 3 completely different versions, none of which are really satisfactory. Loom by itself as a game is not that interesting of a story. It would be nice if it was remade and stretched out into something. Being a game that's only 3 hours long at most, it tells you that there's not a lot of things going on there. Let's see. What can I do? If I attack here, it's going to deal 1 damage to all minions. Which means these guys are going to die anyways. Which means I probably should just do this. But if I do this, it's going to death rattle them anyways, so let's just do this. This is an interesting way to do things. So I almost considered playing the FM Towns version after playing the talkie version first, then the original EGA version of Loom. But I figured, no, this is already going to be a rough series to air, because I'm playing something extremely old on expert mode and cheating throughout most of it, because playing it on expert mode doesn't really help you, and the game doesn't really help you when you've memorized the solutions, the magic spells that you musically play. So yeah, that's gonna be a rough series. I might double up on it and just put it out over the course of a week. It'll play, I'm thinking, right between Broken Sword 4 and Broken Sword 5, which I feel like is probably a good thing. Broken Sword 1's remaster also had a similar issue where when it was remastered, a lot of story and elements got taken out, and so there'll be a nice comparison to make there. And with that, that's kind of all I did. I stayed up really late last night playing Loom twice in a row. It's not really a game you want to not play in one setting, because it doesn't ever write down the spells, and the spells are semi-randomized. There's 3 possibilities that they could be every time you play the game, which means as I was cheating, I was often trying one possibility and going, no, that can't be it, and then trying the next possibility and going, no, that's not it, then finally getting it on the 3rd possibility. Loom is very much a historical piece that, in fact, is probably one of the oldest games I've ever covered or will cover. Most games, I have a category on my Steam library that's just called Too Old, because the games are just too old to play. Hitman 1 is a good example of that game, style of game, because it's in 3D graphics, but a modern PC causes it to run so fast that you're running around like you're Sonic the Hedgehog when you should be a slowly walking assassin. But Loom doesn't have that problem because it has the Scum VM engine to run Scum games, and so that's a still very active project to get more and more old games to play smoothly, old DOS games in particular. And Loom was certainly sold well enough and pretty popular, so it has a historical aspect to it. But I won't get too many of those games on my channel. Eventually, as I'm approaching the Steam Summer Sale, eventually I may just start collecting games that I intentionally have no desire to ever play, just so I am sure I have them in an easy to access way, which is silly certainly, but what else to do? I don't know. Maybe just save the money. Maybe buy a new video card. There's actually a lot of better things I could do than buy games that I have no intention of playing. It depends on how historically important I feel like a game is, and there aren't too many games out there like that. Things like the original Doom. I probably already own it, or maybe I would purchase it. Give a random friendly minion Divine Shield and Taunt. If you have a minion with Taunt, let's go and start playing some things. The original Doom, the original Wolfenstein, I don't know that I'd ever actually bother to play those games. Although, on the fact of Doom and Wolfenstein, I don't think I've ever actually gone all the way through all of those games too, because they were pretty difficult. So I wouldn't be actually too upset with that idea. If I could play them and actually win. That being said, I probably, since I have the remake of Doom, I probably would prefer to just play Doom 1 as a spotlight, Doom 2 as a spotlight, Doom 3 as a spotlight, and then go right into the remake of the next Doom. And then have 3 episodes that are not that long and don't take that much commitment to do. And maybe at some point I would want to play Doom 3 just for historical reasons, but it's almost like if I'm going to play Doom 3, the next game I would play would probably be something like Duke Nukem Forever. And honestly, if I was going to do that, then I need to find a better justification. Don't want to do this or this. Attack. There. Let's see, what else? It's really weird to have like nearly 600 games in your library and so many of them be a little bit hard to put your finger on, so that I can't even directly off the top of my head think where I'm gonna take my channel in the next 4 months, after the next 4 months or so. Like, I suppose that would be around the time of the new year. Has +2 attack damage when you have spell damage +1. I'm gonna attack here, play this, and attack here. And yeah, I've got nothing. I've really got nothing else to talk about. So come on to the chat. Hopefully my chat is working. I have had problems. I'm reloading, I'm checking. I suppose I could do a little bit better of a check too. Let's see. I'll switch to the YouTube app, which doesn't seem to usually work as well for chat, but we'll see if there's anything else. Because I was having internet trouble too, that before, that certainly might mean that people are trying to chat and I'm just not seeing it. It's certainly gonna be weird. And there is definitely some problems with my current release of videos because Borderlands is coming out right now. Kane is coming out as a Mother's Day joke. BioShock Infinite is coming out right now. If a lot of people start asking for me to play a bunch of different games and I was to actually respond to that, which I'm almost certainly not going to because I just don't have the funding to buy brand new games and play them, I couldn't really pivot even if I wanted to. Not for probably 2 months. My channel, as far as pre-recorded stuff, is locked in. And so if somebody tells me they want me to play something in the next 2 months, that they're gonna have to wait till Borderlands is done and BioShock Infinite is done, at the very least, and probably longer than that because I have to keep on creating things. And this is interesting. I can do this. I guess the good news on that issue, there's not a ton of new things that are being announced that have caught my interest, but once E3 comes around, things will be announced. But even when E3 does come around and things are announced, it's not typically the case of games actually being available for purchase right then and there. Let's keep this interesting, I suppose, and we'll see if maybe this taunt deck might have slightly more warrior cards. I don't think it does, though. I need to rebuild my decks again as soon as that new patch comes in, though. That's what we're waiting for. As soon as that new patch comes in, we will be able to copy and paste decks out really easily, and this is one, so I'll hold on to that. And then I could just build a deck full of only warrior cards that are really cheap, play all those cards, and use that ability to finish daily quests. Also, when the new patch comes out, daily quests will be able to be done with friends, so I think we'll see a major increase, hopefully, of people just wanting to play with me, and then because of that, they will get daily quests done even quicker, which might eventually just lower the amount of streaming time, which is probably a good thing because it gives me more time to work on other footage. I don't feel like after the last time I did some major scheduling of my videos, I don't feel like I'm incredibly far behind in recording. I'm still maintaining about 2.5 to 3 months ahead. I think it's hard to be certain, but I'm also not gaining anything either. The only thing that I'm gaining footage on is Hearthstone, and unless I was to do something really, really crazy, like put Hearthstone episodes in between other time slots, so that nothing else aired except for Hearthstone, or Hearthstone aired twice, and use it as almost like reruns. That doesn't help. It doesn't really help that my 6 o'clock time slot, which is Hearthstone, is 4 or 5 months ahead. If anything, that only hurts. Maybe we should start to consider, or I should start to consider, going to 7 days a week for Hearthstone footage. It depends on what the next update turns out to happen. I could go with longer recordings again, and that might be a better way to solve this. Is just to, instead of going 30 minutes, go an hour. And I suppose, because I've been having internet trouble too, I haven't really been looking. So I don't know if YouTube Spotlight did anything on their stream for Memorial Day. And that was something I was supposed to follow up on, because I know that a couple days ago they decided to put out a post promoting women content creators, and I felt like that was odd timing, and it would be very odd timing if they then did nothing on Memorial Day 2 days later, and I think that's exactly what they've done, but I'm only speculating that, so I can't be certain. I suppose there was a way you could have promoted women veterans, if you wanted to, if you insisted on going that route, but they didn't bother to do that. The vast majority of casualties, and as far as veterans, are male, just because it's you're including many previous generations where women were only playing a very limited or almost no role in the military services in the United States. Let's see.
Take this. Job's done.
What's this do? I get armor every time it takes damage. Good. But yeah, that's just speculation on my part, and I don't have anything else to talk about. I guess I can talk about what I did while the internet was down, which was probably a stupid thing in hindsight. I had a spare Lego set because I got it on sale and was holding on to one that I wanted to do, and it was a cheaper, not expert level, just a 3-in-1 of a building, or perhaps 2 buildings side by side, depending on the configuration you built it. And there's 3 different ways you could build 3 different types of building with the style and number of Legos in the box. So you got to pick, and 3 different booklets with 3 different instructions. So the internet was down. I knew it was not my fault, not my router, not anything on my side, not my cable modem. It was at the pole or further. So I figured they were working on it on Memorial Day, which I don't know why you would want to have people working on the day when people are guaranteed to be off, but who knows, maybe that does statistically work out for them to get less complaints. Or maybe it just is a good way to give all your customer service representatives the day off and then cause a bunch of complaints that won't be resolved because it will just go to an answering machine. That is a cynical way of thinking, but very possible. These internet service providers we're talking about. So I pulled out that Lego set and decided to start putting it together. And about halfway through putting it together, it only took maybe 2 hours in total, because of course it's just a kid's toy. I thought to myself, you know what, I probably could have just gone and I probably could have just played a game that doesn't require the internet and started recording that. I could have played BioShock Infinite, for instance, instead of streaming, and start going through that DLC. I could have played any number of other games. Very few games actually require the internet, and it just didn't occur to me until I had all the pieces on the Lego pieces on the table, and by that point I was like, well, no, I'll just finish this. So that was slightly eventful. I've hit the point, as a relatively new Lego creator, I've hit the point where my boxes for the sets are no longer so few that they're out of the way. So I'm going to have to do some cleaning and take all of the boxes out of the room I have all of the Legos displayed in. However, I'm still far from having a ridiculous collection. But the boxes themselves are have a tendency to be really big, and they have a tendency to be really bent up. Even if you order them from Lego, which really sucks. Lego does not do a good job of packing their own boxes, at least from the shipping facility I get it from, which sucks. I always appreciated the rightstuff.com, which sells anime DVDs and movies, that they knew the people who were buying it were obsessive collectors who didn't want their packaging damaged at all. And out of probably hundreds of orders, maybe only had 2 or 3 that had any problem at all with them. And it was small issues, if any issue at all, when it happened. Whereas when you order something from Amazon, like particularly DVDs, no guarantee it's going to be in good shape. If Lego is the same way, it kind of sucks. So if you want a Lego box that's not bent up and ugly, you have to go to a Lego store and buy the sets and look at the box yourself, which can be quite the journey. There aren't that many out there. See, I'm not actually trying to win here, remember. I'm just trying to play the warrior cards, and I don't have that many. But need to hurry up. This will be the last recording because there's nothing to talk about. So if after this I'm just gonna stream the rest of this, and I know I've been doing this, and let me know in the comments if you're watching this as a recording and you feel like you're getting severely gypped because of this, but my intention is to kind of just stream and let the video only air as streams, and then have the recordings be more focused around talking about what's going on in the news video game wise and what's going on in my life video game wise, and because of that, I'm taking the focus off of actually seeing me do all of the daily quests. I have given it some consideration to just streaming every day and doing every single daily quest daily, And then, but then there would be a lot of times when I miss days, and it would really ruin the rest of my channel. So it's highly unlikely that would happen. But it is something I've thought about. It would have to. The thing that would push me into doing streaming every day is that my entire channel starts to actually make a living wage off of the fact that it off of streaming, and because of that it I have to just go where the money goes, and then I suppose then I would stream every day. And if there's tons of people talking to me, and tons of people on the chat, and tons of people are coming to my channel and watching my other videos because of it, I guess I'll do it. I guess that would be my sellout moment there, is to go to streaming every day. But that would be a lot of effort. And I can't guarantee any consistency. I mean, even today, I'm airing extremely late, and we're seeing that there's nobody commenting, and nobody got on because I'm extremely late. So I probably could stream earlier than around 3 o'clock Central Time and get even more people to watch, but yeah, that's not gonna happen. Alright, well, that's it for this recording. If you're watching live, stay tuned. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.